Hey everybody, so I want to talk about the Winnipeg Jets offseason because quite frankly, this offseason has been an absolute disaster for the Winnipeg Jets. I don't even know where to begin. The latest news is they have suspended Dustin Byfuglien for not showing up to training camp, which then knocks his salary off of his salary now doesn't count against the cap, which is a huge thing for them, and I think why they did it, because they are not in a very good spot salary cap-wise. Even though they technically, if you go on cap-friendly, they have a lot of salary cap space, but the issue is Patrik Laine and Kyle Connor are still not signed. But for right now, if you look at Dustin Byfuglien, his $7.6 million salary is currently off of the salary cap now because of the suspension, and he will not count against the cap unless he returns. So, I just did the video a couple days ago. He's mulling retirement. He doesn't know if he wants to play anymore. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with the Byfuglien situation, but adding that whole thing on top of the offseason that Winnipeg has already had, and you really get to see what a terrible, terrible offseason this has been for the Winnipeg Jets. This is a team that 2 years ago was in the Western Conference Final and, almost went to the Stanley Cup. This is a team that people really thought would be a Stanley Cup contender for years to come, but the salary cap and just this being the salary cap era has really, really destroyed the Winnipeg Jets. And for they've had young players on cheap deals, on entry-level deals, on bridge deals that they weren't paying them nearly as much as they could have been. And that they found a way for the last couple years to fit everyone under the cap and have a very, very good team. But now contracts were up, ELCs were up, and they started to have to pay people, and the salary cap just has destroyed this team's roster. They've lost a ton of defensemen. They still don't have important forwards signed. They don't have a lot of cap space when you think about it, even though technically, honestly, suspending Byfuglien and getting him off of the salary cap really has helped open things up a lot as far as them signing Patrik Laine and Kyle Connor. But then what if Byfuglien comes back? Then you're over. So, it's going to be interesting to watch, but just overall, Dustin Byfuglien, you're one of your team leaders, one of your absolute best players, your best defenseman, now mulling retirement, suspended by the team, didn't show up to training camp, doesn't know if he wants to play anymore, off of your back end, after you lost Jacob Trouba via trade because you didn't have enough money to pay him, so you had to trade him basically. You lost Tyler Myers in free agency. You lost Ben Chiarot in free agency. So you've lost, now with Byfuglien, you've lost 4 of your top 6 defensemen, basically. 4 of your top 6 defensemen are now gone. Byfuglien's gone, Myers is gone, Trouba's gone, Chiarot is gone. And 3 of those 4 are top 4 defensemen. Top 4 defensemen from this team last year. Their top 4, I would say, last season was Byfuglien, Morrissey, Trouba, and Myers. Myers is gone, Trouba is gone, and now Byfuglien apparently might be gone. That leaves Josh Morrissey from your top 4, who just signed a long-term extension and is now one of their best players and certainly their best defenseman at this point. But wow, talk about a huge hit to the back end, and they haven't been able to replace any of those guys either. On top of the absolute destruction of their defense core, Patrik Laine still not signed, restricted free agent. Kyle Connor still not signed, restricted free agent. 2 of the team's top goal scorers from last year are not signed. Now they kind of have cap space to certainly sign at least one of them, if not both. But I mean, we're a week into the preseason. We're a little over a week away from the start of the regular season, and both of those guys are not in training camp. Both of those guys are not with the team. Both of those guys remain unsigned. This has been an absolute disaster for the Winnipeg Jets. And you look at this roster now, this is nowhere near a playoff team. Nowhere near a playoff team. Yes, they still have Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele up front. Yes, Josh Morrissey is a very good defenseman, and Connor Hellebuck is still in goal. But there's nothing around them now. There is nothing around them now. I mean, their defense core is absolutely destroyed. Dmitry Kulikov is your number 2 defenseman right now. Neil Pionk, Nathan Bellew are going to have to play major minutes. Sammy Niku, Tucker Poolman, guys who were in the AHL last year, are going to be like top 6 defensemen for this team right now. They don't even have a 7th defenseman right now. I mean, this team is in disarray on the back end. I mean, absolutely destroyed their defense core. And up front, you have 2 of your top goal scorers not signed. So, I mean, you have Wheeler, Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers is pretty good, but there's so much missing from this team. They play in a very difficult division in the Central with a lot of good teams in it. I mean, this is nowhere near a playoff team with the roster that they have right now. I don't know what they're going to do, but this has been a terrible offseason for the Winnipeg Jets. And I think they're going to have a really, really long year unless they make some serious changes and get Line A and Connor signed, find a way to put some semblance of an NHL level defense together. I mean, they're going to have to at least make 1 or 2 trades for decent defensemen if they, otherwise, I mean, they are in big trouble. I'm glad, I feel bad for Winnipeg Jets fans at this point because this was a Stanley Cup contending team the last couple of years, and now they don't even look like a playoff team. I don't know how they could have had a worse offseason than what they've had so far. So it's just been an absolute disaster, and it seems to just keep getting worse. The news just keeps getting worse, and now losing Byfuglien now and suspending him and him maybe not playing and retiring just is the icing on the cake for the Jets this offseason. Absolutely terrible offseason for the Winnipeg Jets. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry, Jets fans. And I'll talk to you guys soon.